If a text that only says, "Can we talk?" can make your stomach drop, the real problem may not be the message. It may be what happens in your body in the 2 seconds after you read it. Because in those 2 seconds, nothing bad has happened yet. No one has rejected you. No one has blamed you. No one has said the relationship is over, the job is at risk, or that you have done something wrong. But your body is already living as if bad news has arrived. By the end of this video, the goal is not to give you a comforting thought. The goal is to give you an earlier place to look. You start checking the tone. You replay what you said. You imagine the worst possible outcome. And before you even know what is true, you are already preparing a defense. This is why most advice comes too late. Don't overthink. Stay positive. Calm down. Those ideas show up after the story has already grown roots. But in this video, we are going to slow down the moment before the story is born. You will see how a vague signal enters the body, how the nervous system marks it as wrong, how the 5 aggregates, or skandhas, describe the chain from sensation to story to impulse, and how that chain finally becomes a familiar identity. This is just who I am. Bad things always happen to me. The next time a dark story appears in your mind, you will know how to ask, where did my body react first? What danger did my attention highlight first? And before I saw the facts clearly, what was my system already pushing me to do? That earlier place is where awareness becomes practical, not abstract. Not only in meditation, practical, in the middle of your actual life. Imagine your phone lights up. There is only one sentence on the screen. Can we talk? No accusation, no conclusion, no proof that anything is wrong. But your body does not wait for proof. Your stomach drops. Your chest tightens. Your breathing gets shorter. Your hand already wants to open the chat history and look for what you missed. Here is the important reversal. You do not always see something bad first and then feel it in the body. Often, the body enters a "bad news is coming" state first. Then, the mind begins looking for a reason. So, you may think you are analyzing reality. But you may actually be explaining a body state. That difference matters. Because if you mistake a body alarm for evidence, the first dark story will feel incredibly convincing. Buddhist psychology gives us a useful way to slow this down. The 5 aggregates, known in Sanskrit as skandhas. The point is not to memorize a religious term. The point is to see the chain. Form, or rupa, a signal comes in. Feeling, or vedana, the body gives it a feeling tone. Perception, or sajanya, the mind gives that feeling a name. Mental formations, or saskara, an impulse starts pushing you. Consciousness, or vijnana, eventually, all of that becomes a story about me. The first aggregate is form, or rupa, the signal itself. A sentence, a facial expression, a pause, a tone of voice that suddenly feels colder than usual. Those are just inputs. They have entered your senses, but they do not automatically mean danger. The real turn happens at the level of feeling, or vedana. In Buddhist psychology, this is where the experience starts to feel pleasant, unpleasant, or uneasy before you have fully interpreted it. Can we talk? It's just a few words on the screen. But in the body, it may already feel tight, heavy, hot, sharp, hollow, or simply wrong. This is where neuroscience can make the process more concrete. After a signal comes in, the insula helps read the body's internal state. Heartbeat, breathing, stomach tension, muscle tightness, a blocked throat, a shift in temperature. It is not giving you a philosophical explanation. It is helping generate a felt sense. Am I safe? Am I steady? Is something off? At the same time, the amygdala and related threat systems are asking a faster question. Does this signal matter? Could it mean danger? Does it resemble something painful from before? The amygdala is not there to deliver the full truth. It is more like an early tagging system. It marks what might be risky and pushes it forward. Then the insula, the anterior cingulate, and the mid-cingulate cortex can become part of a larger salience network. You can think of this network as a priority switch. It asks, what matters most right now? Can I continue what I was doing? Or do I need to shift into protection mode? That is why once a message gets marked as dangerous, it becomes hard to focus on anything else. It is not that you do not know other explanations exist. It is that your attention has already been rerouted. Your body is preparing. Your mind is searching. And the story is starting to look for a reason. This explains a very common contradiction. You know there are other possibilities, but you still believe the worst one first. It is not that your reason has disappeared. It is that the worst interpretation has been pushed to the front by the body. Human singlet matters here because it is involved in conflict, error signals, effort, pain, and the urge to act. So the feeling of bad does not just sit there quietly. It starts moving you. Reply now. Ask now. Explain now. Apologize now. Pull away now. That is why this layer is so important. It is not just, I feel uncomfortable. It is a whole early processing scene. Body signals are being gathered. Threat is being tagged. Attention is being redirected. Action is being prepared. The dark thought is not fully formed yet, but your system is already leaning toward the dark story. So next time the story appears, do not start with, is this thought true? Start earlier. Where did my body change first? Before the facts were clear, what danger did my attention highlight? Before I made a decision, what was my system already pushing me to do? If you can ask those questions, you are no longer trapped only inside the story. You are seeing the workshop where the story is made. This is especially strong in relationships. Not just romantic relationships, friendships, work, family, creative partnerships. Human beings are highly sensitive to social signals because exclusion, rejection, and sudden emotional distance used to be real survival threats. So a sentence like, can we talk? Or a cold, we need to talk, can feel almost physical. It does not prove that you are fragile. It does not prove that something terrible is happening. It shows that your system treats social connection as serious information. The problem is that modern life is full of tiny signals. A message, a pause, a glance, a shift in tone with no explanation. A system that once protected you can turn these small signals into large alarms. Then you are no longer living inside the facts. You are living inside possibilities that have already been marked red. The danger is not that you react. The danger is that you confuse the reaction with the truth. Now the next layer appears. This is where perception, or sajja, starts naming, recognizing, and interpreting. The body says, something is wrong. Then the mind tries to name that wrongness. Can we talk? Becomes, are they going to leave me? Is my boss unhappy with me? Is my friend upset? Did I mess this up again? At this stage, prefrontal systems involved in interpretation, prediction, and control become more visible. But they are not reasoning on a blank page. The input has already been colored by the body alarm. The chest is tight. The stomach has dropped. Attention is already locked onto danger. So, the story that comes next may look like rational analysis. But often, it is the mind trying to explain an alarm that has already started. That is the easy mistake. Many people think dark stories appear out of nowhere, but often they are explanations for body sensations. A tight chest needs an explanation. A sinking stomach needs an explanation. Attention being grabbed needs an explanation. So the mind gives it a story. And here is the most important point. A story can explain your feeling without explaining reality. It may only be explaining the alarm. That is why the dark story feels so persuasive. Not because it is necessarily true, but because it gives the body a name for its unease. Once unease has a name, we mistake that name for insight. But what you are seeing may not be the world. You may be seeing the way your system is trying to protect you. If you have really been ignored, criticized, abandoned, or treated unfairly before, new ambiguous signals are much easier for old templates to catch. Strong emotion makes memories stick. Stress and alertness can make negative experiences leave a deeper trace. So when a similar signal appears later, the brain does not always explain it from scratch. It reaches for an old answer. Someone went silent before, and then they left. A boss once said, "Let's talk," and it really was bad news. A relationship became cold before it ended. So now, the moment a similar signal appears, the system says, "I know what this is." That may sound like experience. But sometimes, it is not wisdom. Sometimes, it is old pain turned into a shortcut. It can protect you from getting hurt again. It can also make you fight a battle before there is a war. And once the explanation is in place, the body does not just feel bad. It starts pushing you to act. This next layer is mental formations, or skandha, the layer of impulse, intention, and patterned reaction. Not behavior yet, the push before behavior. The body says something is wrong. The mind names it as danger. Then the system tells you to do something. Check the phone now. Explain yourself before they accuse you. Apologize before you even know what happened. Go cold. Pull away. Pretend you do not care. Protect yourself first. This is why you can know you may be overreacting and still feel unable to stop. You are not facing one isolated thought. You are facing a chain that is already running through the body and mind. Serotonin and dopamine can be understood at this layer, but carefully. It is not low serotonin means you are doomed to be negative. It is not dopamine decides your fate. A more careful way to say it is that these systems are involved in emotional stability, impulse control, sensitivity to punishment, reward expectation, and learning from disappointment. If expectation keeps collapsing, the system learns. Do not expect too much. If rejection, unfairness, or emotional inconsistency keep repeating, the system learns. Prepare for the bad outcome first. Over time, the bad outcome is no longer just one possibility. It becomes the default posture. And when a default posture repeats enough, the deepest layer appears. You begin to think it is you. At the beginning, it was just a sentence. Can we talk? Then the body tightened. The mind named it as danger. The impulse pushed you to check, explain, apologize, or withdraw. And finally, it becomes a larger story about the self. I always get left. I always do something wrong. Relationships are not safe. People always become disappointed in me. I have to prepare for the worst, or I will be hurt. Look closely. That me was not fully there at the beginning. It was assembled. Signal, feeling tone, naming, impulse, interpretation. Together, they create a conclusion. This is who I am. This is my world. This is how things always go. This is where the Buddhist idea of non-self, known as anatta or anatman, becomes practical. Non-self does not mean you do not exist. It does not ask you to deny your pain. It simply shows that the suffering me is often the result of a chain. And if it is the result of a chain, you do not have to search for freedom only inside the final story. You can look earlier. This also explains why positive thinking often fails. It arrives too late. The story says, "They are going to leave me." You tell yourself, "No, they are not." The story says, "I am going to fail again." You tell yourself, "No, I will succeed." But the body alarm is still running. Attention is still highlighting danger. The impulse is still pushing you to check, explain, control, or withdraw. So the positive thought gets washed away. You cannot stick a nice sentence on top of an alarm chain that has already finished running. The real practice is not to replace the final line of the story with a nicer line. It is to see the chain earlier. How did the signal enter? How did the body mark it? How did the mind name it? How did the impulse start moving? How was the me assembled? This is where awareness begins. But awareness is easy to misunderstand. We imagine it only happens on a meditation cushion, with eyes closed, in a quiet room. In real life, the most useful awareness often begins in the exact second before the story takes you over. The next time the familiar dark story starts to appear, do not rush to blame yourself. Do not rush to cover it with a better thought. Move your attention slightly earlier. Do not start with, "Why am I like this?" Start with, "What just entered?" Was it, "Can we talk?" Was it silence? Was it a look? Was it a tone? Or was it simply fatigue in the body? Then look at the body. Is the chest tight? Did the stomach drop? Is the throat blocked? Did the breath get shorter? You are not doing something mystical. You are not forcing yourself to relax. You are watching the early scene, how the body marks a vague signal as bad. Then look at attention. Is it really seeing all possibilities? Or is it locked onto the most dangerous one? Then look at impulse. Is it pushing you to check, explain, control, please, argue, withdraw? If you can get this far, awareness has already begun. Not abstract awareness, very concrete awareness. You are moving from the story back to the body, back to attention, back to the moment the impulse begins. From a nervous system perspective, this step is not meaningless. When attention moves from the story back into the body, systems related to attention control, conflict monitoring, and action inhibition, including areas of the anterior cingulate and mid-cingulate cortex, may become more involved. You are not making the alarm disappear instantly. You are giving the system one more possible action. Observe the alarm before obeying the alarm. At the same time, when you feel the breath, the chest, the stomach, and the throat, you are returning to interoception, the sensing of the body from within. And if the exhale becomes slightly longer, if the body has even a little less urgency to rush into reaction, that may open a doorway into vagus-related parasympathetic regulation. This is not magic. It does not mean that feeling your body will fix everything. More accurately, it creates a little space inside automatic defense. You move from only reacting to being able to observe the reaction. Real change often does not begin when the discomfort disappears. It begins the first time you do not immediately obey the discomfort. It is still there, but it no longer gets to decide your next move by itself. When you can say, this is the signal. This is the body marking it. This is attention highlighting danger. This is the interpretation. This is the impulse. This is the self-story beginning to form. In that moment, there is already a small space between you and the story. That space is awareness, and it is where regulation begins. If your mind always finds the bad first, it does not mean you are broken. It does not mean you are naturally negative. You may be seeing the first movement of a protection system. That system may once have helped you notice danger early, prepare for loss early, avoid pain early. But protection is not always truth, and the first reaction is not always wisdom. Sometimes, it is an old system overworking in a new life. So the next time the familiar dark story appears, do not rush to believe it, and do not rush to fight it. Look one step earlier. Did I actually see something bad? Or did my body mark an unclear signal as bad before the facts arrived? That question brings you back. Back to the signal. Back to the body. Back to the chain before it closes. And if you can see the chain before it closes, you are no longer only the person being pulled by the dark story. You become the person who can see how the story is being made. That is where practice begins.